All right, so up to this point, we've talked about the development of atherosclerosis, the formation of plaque, the formation of the fibrous cap, and eventual rupture into the coronary artery lumen, causing a heart attack. Well, there's ways of preventing this plaque formation through the role of HDL. And as you may have heard, HDL is considered the good cholesterol. Well, in this section, we're going to talk about why that is. The first way has to do with the fact that HDL prevents the formation of foam cells. And the way it does this is that it promotes or removes cholesterol from the intima of the coronary artery. And by removing that cholesterol, it prevents or reduces the formation of foam cells. And then that cholesterol is taken out of the intima into the blood, and the HDL will deliver it to the liver, where it can do no more harm. So again, the removal or efflux exit of cholesterol from the modified LDL leads to reduction in foam cell formation. So the macrophages may accumulate, they're not converted into foam cells. Thus, HDL is an anti-inflammatory protein, and it protects us from the development of atherosclerosis. Another way that HDL is good for us is it inhibits the oxidative modifications of LDL. In other words, it prevents the LDL from becoming modified. HDL, and a way that it does this is the fact that it has this protein enzyme called peroxidase, and HDL has this enzyme, and it prevents HDL from becoming modified from those special oxygen molecules called free radicals. And the HDL can do the same thing and shield the LDL from those free radicals, preventing it from becoming modified. So again, peroxidase is that enzyme helps prevent the collection or the modification of LDL. Therefore, it results in the reduction of modified LDL in the intima. There's an important role that HDL has in the removal of oxidative lipids from LDL. So we learned in number 2 that it can prevent modification of LDL, but at the same time it helps with the prevention. And what happens here is you have this protein called cholesterol ester transfer protein. It's found in the blood. It has in small quantities. It's healthy for us. It's actually good. We're going to find out later, though, in an unhealthy individual, CETP in large quantities can be bad for us. However, in a healthy individual, what happens is the CETP will take oxidative lipids off of LDL and give those to HDL. So if you remember from this slide before, you have these little oxidized lipids, that's shown in color here, the red and the yellow. What happens is CETP will come in and pull off these oxidized lipids that have been affected by free radicals, and it pulls this off of the LDL, gives them to HDL, gives it to HDL, and then the HDL takes those back to the liver where they can do no more harm. By pulling those oxidized lipid droplets off of LDL, it prevents the LDL from becoming modified. So again, that's an important thing. Again, we'll talk about CETP later, but in small amounts, it's a good thing. And this is a way that it helps reduce the amount of HDLs circulating with these modified lipids that can be easily changed or cause harm in the intima. The other thing is HDL also inhibits adhesion molecule expression. So we have these adhesion molecules. If you remember, do you remember? E-selectin, VCAM, and ICAM-1. And what happens is HDL prevents these molecules from being expressed or activated. And if you don't have the rolling and the sticking, then that prevents reduces the amount of monocytes coming into the intima. And less monocytes means less macrophages and less foam cell development. So again, just to review, again, E-selectin and VCAM-1 and ICAM-1 with the rolling and the sticking. And HDL prevents the making of these proteins. Well, how it does is, and you don't need to memorize this pathway, but just to give you a little more detail, the way it does is it basically HDL, there's a number of steps by which adhesion molecules are activated. And what happens is HDL in this process, it comes in and prevents this cascade from occurring by preventing sphingosine to be made in sphingosine 1-phosphate. So, but again, you don't need to memorize this, just to know that again, how it does it, it just basically prevents this pathway that is normally used to activate the adhesion molecules from occurring. And then this is just, again, this is just the words of that. You don't need to spend too much time on this. You don't need to memorize that pathway. All right, so in this particular case, here is the overview of the 4 different ways that HDL affects or improves our cardiovascular health. Again, it increases the removal of cholesterol from foam cells. It prevents or inhibits the oxidation or modification of LDL via the peroxidase that's found on HDL, the protein enzyme. It also collects oxidized lipids from LDL due to the CETP, and then HDL takes that back to the liver to be removed in the liver. And finally, it inhibits the endothelial cell sphingosine kinase, but basically what you need, it prevents, the main thing you need to know is that it prevents adhesion molecule expression. So these, again, are the 4 ways by which HDL is considered a good cholesterol. Promotes cholesterol efflux, inhibits oxidation of LDL, removes those oxidized lipids from LDL, and finally inhibits adhesion molecule expression. So again, there's a lot of evidence that atherosclerosis is an inflammatory disorder. LDL are subject to pro-inflammatory modifications. That's that modification that we talked about from the specialized oxidized or oxygen molecules. But importantly enough, HDL has an anti-inflammatory properties that can help prevent the plaque buildup and eventual development of atherosclerosis. In lesson 3, we're going to learn that exercise can actually improve the number of HDLs. So we're going to talk about how exercise can actually help the body make more HDL. So when you tell a client to go out and exercise because it's good for their health, well, we're going to talk about how exercise improves or increases the number of HDLs in the body. So again, you need to have some strategies. There's strategies to reduce pro-inflammatory modifications of LDL that could reduce atherosclerosis. There's strategies that increase the anti-inflammatory properties of HDL that could help reduce atherosclerosis, but again, more research is needed. All right, so this concludes this section of it, So this concludes this section of regarding HDL and why it's considered the good cholesterol. So take a moment, review the 4 reasons why HDL is considered the good cholesterol, and then we're going to move on to C-reactive protein.